So now we are going to talk about roofs.
Okay.
So I'm with Scott Wells today of Water-tite Roofing and Integrity Foundation. He was on a previous interview with us, and today he's going to talk to us about the other part of our home. We talked about the bottom part. Now we're talking about the top, the roof. And I want to share with you that Scott is one of our experts. We've worked with him for many years. He has been in many of our senior clients' homes. They love his, as you say, bedside manner, because Scott's not a pushy person. He's a helpful person, and he wants people to feel good about the decisions that they make. So Scott, thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about the roofing company that you're involved with, because I know there's a lot of them out there right now.
Oh, you're not kidding. Well, interestingly enough, I came to work for Integrity Foundation Repair and Water-tite Roofing because of my roofing background. Once again, both our companies are marketed the same way. We deal mostly with realtors, and then of course you end up with referrals on the backside of that tends to be a good slice of your business. But we do a lot of what we would call transactions or repairs that are on a sales transaction. Just means that they're time sensitive, and there's some different issues involved when a home is being bought or sold than they in the areas of foundation and roofing than there are when you're just looking at a roof for somebody. I came to work for IFR and Water-tite. The owner of the company solicited me away from another company that I was working for because of my insurance background. So I was an insurance adjuster. I still carry a state license, but I haven't worked in the industry in about 10 years. But I have been 12 years as an insurance adjuster before I got in the build back side of things. There's so many roof repairs or roof replacements that are related to hail damage or wind damage that are insurance repair work. I was hired for my background knowledge in the insurance business, and once again, just to keep the transaction moving along well. That way, I speak the language on both sides of the item,
Which is really good. Which we'll talk about here in a moment when it comes to that part of the transaction. Oftentimes when my team goes out on a consultation with a client and we're kind of getting ready to get the house ready to put it on the market, we always talk about the top things: the roof, the foundation, the electrical, the plumbing, those things, hot water heater, those things that come up often in an inspection. And, for me, someone that's not trained in roofing, I could stand on the sidewalk and say, wow, the roof looks really great. And the inspector comes back and says, no, it's not so much. When I have you go on a consult because maybe there's a telltale sign, there's a brown spot on the ceiling, or someone has mentioned to me that they're getting they know there's birds in their fireplace, or a squirrel or something like that could be a problem for them. When you go on a consultation for senior downsizing experts, we're the Sullivan and Sullivan real estate team. What are you looking for?
The biggest things that I'm looking for, well, when I do a roof inspection, you want to make sure that you have a watertight roof. You want to make sure that you don't have anything that's allowing any type of moisture to what they would call penetrate the envelope. That means anything coming in around the shingles, vents on top of, anything like that on the roof. What you're looking for, so there's hail damage, there's wind damage, there's things that can be addressed. If I'm out there because, like, say you see a stain on the ceiling, then of course, if you never noticed that stain before, you don't know where it came from, how long it's been like that, I'm going to look at where that is, and I'm going to be up on the roof looking for things that I know could be leaking in the general area of where it is down below inside. If you're thinking about selling your home and you just know if you don't remember when you replaced your roof, that chances are it's getting a few years on it. A big age point, pardon me, a big age point in Texas and in this area is a roof If a roof is 10 years old or older, they get a really hard look from an insurance company. Some insurance companies won't even insure a roof that is over 10 years old in Northeast
Ooh,
Texas.
that's important to remember.
Right. So when I look when I look at a roof on a home that's going to be listed, what I'm wondering is, does it meet the criteria that I believe an insurance underwriter would be looking at that is going to write insurance on the roof for the buyer? That being said, I mean, so many times foundations and roofs trip up transactions so many times. Those are just two of a few different areas that have to be right in order for them to go, in my experience. You know, if the roof is getting just a few years on it, if it's had hailstorms, if your roof hasn't been replaced, but you look up and down the street and you notice all your neighbors have been, those are all telltale signs that your roof might not be leaking, but it might have hail damage on it, and it might not be insurable to the new client, to the new buyer. And that's exactly what they're going to be looking for.
You know, I hear this a lot of times when I go out and meet with a client. They say, oh my gosh, I've got a 40-year roof. I mean, they sold me a 40-year roof. That roof's been on there 10 years. I've still got 30 years left on it. There's no way it needs replacing.
Oh, it would be great if that was true, but it's just not what we find to be an accurate statement in the state of Texas. Northeast Texas, we have extreme weather conditions. We have more wind and hail, and we have a lot of it. There's 20-year shingles, 30, 40, and 50-year. Now, they have lumped the 30, 40, and 50-year into a category of what they call limited lifetime warranty, but it's still the same thickness. But at the end of the day, if you have a 40-year shingle, man, if you get 10 years out of it, you're doing great. If you get 20 years out of a 40-year shingle in this area, then you've done wonderful. When they make statements like that, it's tied to the manufacturer's wording on their, when you look at the fine print on their manufacturer warranty. And there is no manufacturer warranty, period, with anybody that covers hail damage. There's no such thing as a hail-proof roof.
In Texas or just anywhere, period?
Anywhere.
Oh.
Now, they will market some products as hail resistant, and you just have to, you have to be careful. You have to really listen to what people are telling you, because when somebody says something like the manufacturer is, this is a 40-year shingle and it's class 4 impact resistant from hail, that doesn't mean it's hail proof. It sounds like that's what they said, but that's not the exact words they use, and it's just, it's not accurate. Now, your roof might be in great shape, and those shingles are better shingles than average, but it doesn't mean that they're completely excluded from the possibility of hail damage.
So I hear class 4 a lot. What does that mean? Other than the fact it's a better roof. What does that mean?
Class 4 impact resistant is a test that they do, and basically they fire a piece of ice that's about 2 inches in diameter at a speed that they have determined is terminal velocity at a shingle. Okay, now when they do this test, if the shingle isn't damaged, then it is what they consider class 4 impact resistant. The way class 4 shingles, the way class 4 asphalt shingles are made, most of them have ground up rubber. A lot of times used tires are what they use, and they grind that up and they mix that in with the granulars that they put on an asphalt shingle. Now, class 4 impact resistant is that it's a better shingle and it's more hail resistant. Now, there's some downsides to using them. Now, you get a discount on your insurance when you buy a class 4. The percentages vary from insurance company to insurance company, but on average, it's between a 10 and 15% savings, which sounds significant. Now, the price difference in between a class 4 shingle and a normal shingle that you have on your roof, on average, it takes between 5 and 7 years of what you're saving on your insurance to make up for the price that you're going to incur now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Class 4 impact resistant. The other thing about the class 4 impact resistant is it still starts to look old. It doesn't, to the visual eye, it doesn't age any better than a normal shingle from what you see from the ground, as far as like the color. And as a roof fades in color as it gets older, they fade just like the roof you have on now does. Difference is when it hails and everybody else in the neighborhood is getting a new roof, then you're not going to qualify for one because you got that class 4.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I mean, really, to be honest with you, and insurance companies are, they're such advocates for these class 4 roofs. They'll send you mailers about how much money you can save. At the end of the day, in my experience, if somebody really wants me to do something, they usually have some kind of vested interest. You're not going to convince me that this doesn't work out best for the insurance company.
Okay. Okay. You know, when someone's paying for a roof, it used to be that there were some ways that you could get around paying for all those things, but now it's typically figured on your deductible. And I think, I don't want to say standard, but what I've seen is that for a lot of people, it's 1% of, is it the rebuild? If they were going to rebuild the house, it's 1% of the value of the home, of the roof, or is it 1% of the cost to put a new roof on there? What is that?
No, a percentage deductible is based on what your home is insured for.
Okay.
Which is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of what your home is going to be valued at. If you're talking about selling it, then hopefully you're going to be insured for about the same amount of money as you would be listing your house for.
So when you get the property taxes from the county and it says the value of your house is $250,000, then you're going to be looking at $2,500 coming out of your pocket to pay for the roof. Is that right?
Well, yes, if that's what you're insured for. You've got to watch, I mean, and you have to watch all this stuff. You have to watch what they're charging you in property taxes versus what the market truly is around you versus what your insurance company thinks you need to be insured for. In this day and age, you can see a property taxes go up to what people are considering an unfair amount. So they can, and then if you pay too much in your property tax and you don't catch that, a lot of times your insurance company will be watching those trends in your particular area.
Mm-hmm.
They will insure your home for more money because you're paying property taxes on it for more. And at the end of the day, that's what you're going to be paying for. That's not necessarily the value of your home, but at the end of the day, a 1% is whatever your 1% of whatever you're insured for. If you have a $300,000 house and you have a 1% deductible, you're insured for $300,000. That means that it's going to be $3,000 out of your pocket when you go to replace that roof.
Yeah, and I think most people do 1%, but I noticed for a lot of our older clients, to save themselves the premium on their property, they have reduced that or increased that to 2%, but not thinking forward of the time when the roof needs to be replaced. It's going to be more money out of their pocket.
That's exactly right. And another way that they can save money, something that you see done quite a bit these days, is they'll do 1% on the all parts of the house, except on a wind hail deductible, which is mostly going to affect your roof, and it'll be 2% on wind hail. You can even see as much as 5% on a wind hail. And the thing that the easy way to keep track of this for yourself is for an asphalt shingle roof, what most of us have. A good rule of thumb is the roof is going to cost you 5 to 6% of what your home is valued. So what that means is if you have a 1% deductible, then you're responsible for close to 20% of the repairs as it is. Between 15 and 20% is what that number is going to work out to be. So if you have a 2% deductible, then however much money the roof costs, somewhere in the neighborhood of between 30 and 40% of that price is going to come out of your pocket. So, and the savings that you see per year, when it comes right down to it, I just don't see that it's worth it as often as we get hail here in Texas.
How can you tell, and I know that this is kind of I'm throwing out a question that maybe you weren't prepared for, but then again, you're always prepared for my questions. You know, when there's been a storm, there's a lot of people out there knocking on doors, making phone calls, trying to set up appointments to replace roofs. And I don't want to use the term fly by night, but a lot of people all of a sudden become professional roofers. How can you tell, or how would you make the decision on who's going to replace your roof, other than the fact that they've been around for a couple of years?
Well, roofing isn't any different than any area of construction in my life. I don't think that there's any, I don't think there's any replacement for personal referrals. People that you know, people that are either in the industry that deal with somebody, or people that have actually had work done that can tell you how something goes. And I'm here to tell you, some of those people that knock on your door are great companies. Some of them are not. And I tell you what, you've just got to be careful. You know, you can have somebody knocking on your door that appears to have some credentials, actually that does have credentials, and those credentials just don't necessarily line up. I mean, if Fred's A+ Roofing has just changed his name to Fred's A+ Roofing from Fred's Roofing in the last 6 months, and was a different name before that and a different name before that, that kind of tells you how things are going for Fred in the downtime. There's no replacement for a referral for people's personal experience in dealing with somebody. I mean, the Better Business Bureau is great, and that's one of your better ways. But even in the electronic age today, the way things are done in marketing, when you Google something, the more money a company spends with, you know, for marketing, when they're marketed like that, the better their Google reviews can appear. You know, there's just ways to make all that stuff better. No substitute for word of mouth and people that have dealt with you for extended periods of time.
Okay, that's good to know. That's very good advice. So last question for you on my roof. What kind of warranty comes with that?
Everything that Water-tite Roofing does, when we do a roof replacement, it comes with a 5-year workmanship warranty, and then whatever the warranty is that comes with whatever product you get. So most asphalt shingles would be either 25-year or limited lifetime on the manufacturer side, but once again, that doesn't say anything about hail damage. You're always going to be subject to that. But as far as a leak around any kind of jack for anything, any type of repair that we've done on a roof replacement, we're going to come out and we're going to take care of it. We'll address any mistake that's made in that area or any leak, and then we'll come back in and we'll do any repairs to any interior that might need to be made. If anybody tells you that they're doing roof replacements and they haven't occasionally had one leak, they're either not being honest with you or they haven't installed very many. It's just a numbers thing. You know, eventually someone is going to make a mistake. And in my experience, whether it be foundations, roofs, or any area of construction, when you're dealing with people, it is absolutely the quality of work that you do, and then when there's a problem, how that company responds.
Okay. Scott, would you, do you just do roof replacements, or do you come out and replace shingles when they need to be replaced, or flashing?
Oh, we do all kinds of repairs. Another interesting aspect of real estate transactions is so many things get written up on an inspection report.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing, the first thing that happens is a home inspector, and I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe this is just how they're trained. A home inspector will write up hail damage. Well, impact marks on a shingle, there's a lot of other ways impact marks can happen other than hail. So you see a lot of reports that talk about hail damage on a roof, that doesn't truly have hail damage, first thing we have to do is come out and evaluate and find out whether we believe it's hail damage or not, and then move forward from there. The other thing is there's a lot of things that get written up on a roof that for the criteria that the home inspector is using, they are a reason to call a roofer out, but they're not necessarily an item that needs to be repaired or replaced because it's not causing a problem. So a typical thing that you see written up on a lot of inspection reports is on older homes, and that's well, really that's homes just built before the early 90s. They didn't have a cricket on the chimney or a saddle. Now on the back side of a chimney, on the roof side, there's a little framed kind of triangle behind the chimney, and that helps water to shed down that. Prior to that, the roof slope would go down kind of like this being the chimney, and the roof slope would go down, and then water would hit right here. Mm-hmm. Well, they write these up that that it's not up to code or it's not standard, that they don't have a cricket. And my particular problem in this area is some of the reports that these guys use, I believe it automatically populates to be written like this, but they say things sometimes like, this will leak. Well, that's just an inaccurate statement, because sometimes, I mean, you might be looking at one of these houses that was built in the 50s. That chimney has been there now for 70 years. Yeah. It's had multiple roofs on it. It has never leaked. There's no rationale to say it's going to leak now. So you're not, to me, it's just bad business to try to open up a roof that's not leaking and address a problem that might leak, that hasn't leaked in 70 years. It's not an expense. In my experience, it's not an expense that the seller is going to be keen to, because once again, maybe they've lived in this house that whole time. Maybe they've been in it 20 to 30 years. It hasn't been a problem yet. Why are we opening up a roof that's not leaking to fix something that's not wrong? Yeah. And I address stuff like that. What we're looking at is the roof, will it likely be insurable to a new buyer? Mm-hmm. Is it currently leaking? And whatever is written up on the report, is it truly a problem or just something that's written up? And I can, I mean, I've been doing this for a minute, and I take pride in the fact that I can kind of decipher all this language, and I can work with people in this area. I can explain to them. I can kind of cut off the alarm buttons a lot of times.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I do run into the cricket comment quite a bit. You and I just have discussed that, and unfortunately, the buyers are paying a lot of money to get an inspection done, because they're required to do that. Well, they should be anyway. And depending upon the inspector, they're doing whatever their book says they need to mark as deficient. And the buyers automatically think, oh my gosh, the inspector said this chimney is gonna leak. The seller needs to fix this. The sellers talk to someone like yourself that says, you don't. Right. So it's really hard sometimes to negotiate a good outcome there because of the way that someone else looked at it. Mm-hmm. Which is why we always say the inspector's job is to identify things that could be deficient. They're not an expert in those areas. Absolutely. The next step for us is to bring in the expert and let the expert make that decision on something the inspector called. Correct?
Absolutely correct. And in my experience with this stuff, that's the crucial point. A lot of times alarm buttons are already pushed. Everybody's, a buyer and a seller are both tense, maybe over the results of some of the things in an inspection. And the inspector is just doing his job. He's just drawing flags to what may or may not be. I never want to come, first of all, even if they're on the extreme side of repairs that need to be done, it's what we do for a living. I mean, we come in and we repair stuff. So, the easiest and most effective thing that I found is just to discuss it calm and rationally in a way that people understand. And so many times, issues are just non-issues. I don't work for a company that has it in mind to just come out and make $1 every time I come out. The thought behind IFR and Water-tite both are, there's enough legitimate work that needs to be done. If it doesn't need repair, you just talk about why it doesn't need repair and move on to the next thing. It's really that simple.
You've had me before when we've had a roof issue and the insurance adjuster was going to come out and have a look at the roof to decide if it's something that they're wanting to reimburse. You've actually had me let you know when that's going to happen so you can meet the insurance adjuster there. So do you think that you being there, what's the value in you being there?
Well, an insurance adjuster does not have to have a contractor present to do their job. But when you have a contractor present during any type of insurance claim process, then you have somebody there on your side. And in my experience, the biggest thing that it does is slow these guys down and make sure that they look at everything nice and close, because they know an insurance company writes an estimate and they provide you with what they're going to pay.
Right.
It's a nationwide software program. I have a copy of it. A lot of contractors do. It's leased software. It gets updated pricing all the time. We know what they're paying. We base our prices off of what we know they're going to pay, but it is done by line item. And what that means is every single thing on any type of insurance repair, in this case we're talking about roof repair, is accounted for in these estimates. Every roof vent, every painting of every roof vent, shingles, felt, drip edge, every flashing, it's all in the estimate. Well, you can write an estimate and leave 4 or 5 of those small items off of the estimate, and that's going to make the price of the roof significantly less. And then the contractor that you work with is going to be going back to the insurance company asking for a supplement. It just makes the whole process take longer. If you go ahead and meet them there on the front end and you agree to the scope of work with them, then when they write the estimate, it's all in there already. And once again, it just keeps things moving along in an efficient manner.
So if you're the contractor that the seller has decided that they're going to do the work, does the insurance company send the check to you?
Oh, absolutely not. I started insurance, I got my insurance license in 1998, and I believe it was relatively recent to that time. So I guess it would have probably been sometime in the mid-90s. The state of Texas around that time stopped doing any type of work with any contractor. The reason that changed, that they don't issue any payments, they won't even talk to a contractor unless an insured tells them to, and that's provides them in writing. Like, if you don't want to deal with the insurance company, you can give them a letter or send them an email saying, please contact Scott, he's my contractor. And they'll talk to me at that point, but they will never send a payment to me. The reason is they don't want to pay me direct and then have a customer unsatisfied with the work they did and have me already get paid.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, that's good. So the homeowner gets 2 checks.
Correct. In most, not all policies, but most policies in the state of Texas are called RCV, or replacement cost value policies. That means whatever item that the insurance is paying to replace has a life expectancy. When they call we'll just stick with roofing since that's what we're going with. When we talked about the manufacturer's age on these roofs, like say you have a 25-year shingle. Well, what that means is that the manufacturer says life expectancy is 25 years. Now, we've already discussed how that's probably not accurate in Texas, but for the calculation purposes, that's what they're going to use. That means that item depreciates 4% per year. Okay. So what that means is when that roof is 12 and a half years old, it'll have about a 50% depreciation. If you had a $10,000 roof, the insurance company is going to take that 50% depreciation and they're going to hold on to that money, and they're only going to send you the first portion of it.
Okay.
Now, the reason that they do that is because they want to make sure that you get the item repaired. Okay. So if they send you $25,000 for your roof, if they send you $25,000 for your $25,000 roof, they have found that some people may not get that roof repair done as quickly or at all. If they only send you part of the money and a contractor knows you have the second half coming, they're going to go ahead and that contractor is going to do your repair. they're going to send a final invoice to the insurance company for you to where they release that depreciation after the work is done.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Because you don't want to take that $25,000 and go on that vacation that you've been wanting to go on and get a $4,000 roof done. Not that you could.
Absolutely not. And unfortunately, you do see, I mean, just things happen to people. And, you know, and then the thing that bites you is the insurance company shows that they have allowed for replacement on that roof. Even when they only issue an ACV payment, the first payment that they send you, if you do not get your repairs done in a certain allotted amount of time, then the insurance company has a record in a national database that they report to, and they will show that they paid you for a roof that you didn't replace. And what that means, unfortunately, is 10 years from now, when your roof looks even worse and you are selling your house, then you might have kept $4,000, and now you're going to pay $10,000.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, you're just so knowledgeable on those things. That's why I appreciate working with you so much, because you can answer the simple questions and the detail. Before we end our time together today, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel would be important for our audience to know when it comes to working with their roof?
Well, yeah, I mean, we covered about everything. I mean, first of all, if you know you have a leak, then you need to have it looked at. I don't care when it is. And then secondly, behind that, if you're getting ready to list, it's better to look at it and go ahead and see if anything needs to be done than to, you know, come on it when you have a contract and then, oh, that problem that you thought you might have had that you didn't have looked at all of a sudden becomes a problem.
Okay.
Always better to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay. So Scott, for those people that are watching our interview today, if they're suspicious that they have something going on, you know, of course they can call me and I'm going to share your information with them. But if they wanted to call your company directly, how do they do that so that they can get you to come out and look?
They can call the office and ask to have an appointment scheduled with me anytime. Okay. Also, my cell number is printed on my card. I certainly don't mind you providing my cell number to any of your clients.
Okay.
And they can call me direct anytime. My standard rule of thumb is if I'm awake, I answer the phone. And if not, you can text me or leave me a voicemail and I will get back to you just as quick as I can.
You're pretty good at that. I mean, I've sent you text messages on Sunday expecting you to pick up on Monday, not realizing that, boom, there you are. You're right back to me. That being said, to our audience, we all need to have a day of rest, and Scott is great in accommodating us, whether it be a quick question that you need to have asked or whether you need him to come out and have a visit with you. He's been really great to do that. And we sure do appreciate the time that you took away from your morning to spend with us today. Scott Wells with Water-tite Roofing and Integrity Foundation. Thank you for doing that with us.
You bet. Thanks, Ingrid.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And I'm Ingrid Sullivan with Senior Downsizing Experts, and I am so glad that we had an opportunity to share this information with you. Scott often is one of our guest panelists when we do our Be Smart About Selling Your Home seminar for Smart Senior Series. This time he was kind enough to help us out with just giving us information about his company in general. So again, thank you so much, Scott, for helping us today.
You bet. Thank y'all.
We'll have his phone number and cell phone number posted at the bottom of our recording so that you can talk with him.